to yours.
CBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Mr. Phillips, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is possible. Your objectives: capture the AFC East, AFC Championship, and the Super Bowl. Your operatives: Agent 7, Agent 78, Agent 83, Agent 34, and the youthful Agent 23. Your targets: overtake arch-enemy New York, fend off bitter opposition from the South, avenge last week's ambush in New England. This tape will self-destruct.
I accept.
Behind his blockers and coming down on the right.
Synergy Field in downtown Cincinnati on December 6th. The expected high, 75 degrees, where today the Buffalo Bills continue their playoff mission against the Bengals. In the AFC East, it's a 4-team race. The Bills only a game behind the Jets and Miami. Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Cincinnati. I'm Gus Johnson along with Steve Tasker, and the Buffalo Bills are still licking their wounds after the heartbreaking loss last week at New England, and this team comes into this game after a very tough week.
Well, you might think that the Buffalo Bills have a distraction problem after all the stuff that's gone on in Buffalo this week, but we talked to Coach Wade Phillips, and he told us the players put that stuff behind them a lot better than even the coaching staff did. When I attended practice on Thursday, I saw a team that was very upset and highly motivated to take it out on somebody. Well, that's not the best news in the world for Bengals quarterback Neil O'Donnell. He's back in the saddle as a starter this week, and he told us yesterday that the Bengals offensively could make it interesting today if their patchwork offensive line can give him enough time to throw the football down the field.
So coming up, the Bills and Bengals meet in Cincinnati for the first time since the 1988 AFC Championship game.
Guess what? Susie Fetterman got sick, so I don't have to be the dumb dinosaur. I get to be the peacock.
Great. Peacock.
Want to get away? Southwest has your ticket to freedom. For only $99 or less, you can fly coast to coast when you purchase by December 16th.
You are now free to move about the country.
December 6th, it's 70 degrees here in Cincinnati, and we're ready for the Bengals and the Bills. Buffalo, they have won the toss and will receive the football. Bruce Coslett, 1-8 against the Bills, and he told us that despite his team's 2-10 record, they continue to play hard and focus every week. Lee Johnson kicking it away. Kevin Williams back deep, and Williams starts from the 1. Up to the 20-yard line, and Williams out of bounds at the 35-yard line, chased out of bounds by Thomas Randolph, a return of 32 yards. On the field, the little general, Doug Flutie, coming off a career NFL high, 339 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions last week in his hometown of New England. And Flutie, during his pro career, has thrown for over 65,000 yards between the USFL, the Canadian Football League, and the NFL. First down and 10 from the 34-yard line, out of the I formation. Play action on first down for Flutie, and he's going for the home run. Moulds is open, got it inside the 10. Eric Moulds, who last week had an 84-yard touchdown against New England with the big play on first down.
When you come out at the beginning of a game, you sometimes want to hit the team right in the mouth, and the Buffalo Bills, knowing that the Cincinnati Bengals have struggled this season, would love to put them away early, send Eric Moulds right down the field and just say, you know what, we're going to go deep. You better stop us because we're coming to play today.
A 55-yard gain, first down and 10 from the 11-yard line for Buffalo. Antoine Smith running straight ahead with all kinds of running room, and he gets inside the 5. Offensively for Buffalo, they're third in the AFC in total offense. Their offensive line strong. Fina, Brown, Ziegler, Panos, Ostrowski. Backs and receivers, Antoine Smith closing in on a 1,000-yard season. Sam Gash is his fullback, and Eric Moulds, he's third in the National Football League in receiving yards with 911, and he just added 55 more. Second down and 3 from the 4-yard line. Third play of the drive for Buffalo. Here's Smith over the left side, and Smith close to a touchdown. Stopped by Artrell Hawkins on the play. And they are about a foot shy of a touchdown.
The Buffalo Bills are known as a running team. Watch Jay Remersma. He'll take you right to the football. They're going to come right behind 85, Jay Remersma. Antoine Smith is a big back with Sam Gash in front of him. This is the power set for the Buffalo Bills. They bring those two guys in and just pound, 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 and then they'll bring in a single back set later with Thurman Thomas. Jay Remersma has really emerged as a better blocking tight end this year and has helped this offense.
First down for the Bills. Remersma in motion. Antoine Smith again, and he leans forward. Touchdown. Just like that, Buffalo striking quickly. The 55-yard completion, Flutie to Eric Moulds.
When you talk to a team who comes into a stadium, especially on the road against a team who's struggling, the thing they always say is we'd love to get them down early. You can't get much earlier than what the Buffalo Bills have done on this first drive, started by that guy right there, Eric Moulds, on the long catch on the first play from scrimmage.
And the extra point by Steve Christie is good. Eric Moulds, only the 20th receiver in Bills history with 50-plus receptions in a season.
This is a message for Brian Hegarty, card member since '91.
Takes a 7-0 lead on that guy, Doug Flutie's arm. You'll see here Eric Moulds just runs right by Ashley Ambrose, the free agent they brought in to bolster their secondary. And he just, no move, no nothing. Just catch me if you can. Doug Flutie throws this ball about 52 yards on a line. Eric Moulds has to extend just a little bit to catch it. Otherwise, that's a touchdown on the very first play from scrimmage.
Eric Moulds last week, 8 catches, 177 yards. Damon Gibson, the return man, starts inside his own 10. And the free agent acquisition out of Iowa over the 30-yard line, up to the 33-yard line, 25-yard return. Brings on Neil O'Donnell, who's been benched the past 2 weeks. Came in last week, though, against Jacksonville after the first quarter in place of Paul Justin. And on the season, O'Donnell has thrown 13 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, but as Bruce Coslett told us, he's having problems getting the ball down the field to his receivers.
Bruce Coslett would love to have Neil O'Donnell go back and throw the ball down. Neil O'Donnell's a safe passer. He's got a good rating, but what his problem is, he'll take some sacks and not throw the football away, and it's just 1 or 2 too many bad plays a game.
First down and 10 from the 33. O'Donnell passing on first down, and big Ted Washington wrapped him up and brought him down.
The front 5 of the Cincinnati Bengals are starting 2 different guards here, and that's Ted Washington right there. He's coming right. You'll see him come right up the middle, right over the center, Derek Brills. And Mike Goff, the rookie out of Iowa, learns a lesson about a big nose tackle in the National Football League. Ted Washington ran right towards Neil O'Donnell, and nobody held him up.
Second down and 18 from the 25-yard line. Darnay Scott in motion. Corey Dillon running the football straight ahead, and he's wrapped up. Bruce Smith got to him first. And Cincinnati having some problems on their offensive line. Rich Graham, Ken Blackman out of the lineup because of injuries. Therefore, 2 inexperienced players replacing him, Rod Jones and Mike Goff. Backs and receivers, Corey Dillon closing in on 1,000 yards, needs 12 yards for back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and Carl Pickens is having an outstanding season, second in the AFC in receptions.
Excuse me, because their skill position has never been a question. It's been a problem up front for the Cincinnati Bengals this year.
Third down and 16 from the 27-yard line. O'Donnell passing, Milne out of the backfield at the 30-yard line, but he is shy of the first down. They needed to get to the 45. Make it the 44.5 for a first down. Marlo Perry with the tackle, and the Bengals 3 and out on their first possession.
You can hear the crowd not happy about it. That was the sack on first down is a killer, and it really forces you. It's worse than a penalty because it's a loss of down even. They were really in a hole right off the first play of the game from Ted Washington, the sack on O'Donnell.
Lee Johnson standing at the 17-yard line. Kevin Williams at the 20. High spiraling kick. Williams, fair catch signal, almost dropped it. And he is down at the 30-yard line, a 39-yard punt. Buffalo leading at 7-0, a frustrating start for Neil O'Donnell.
CBS is sponsored by Cadillac and your local Cadillac dealers. 10-10-220. And by the United States Marine Corps, the change is forever.
Magnificent day here in Cincinnati, 70 degrees at kickoff time. And Buffalo leads the Bengals 7-0. First down and 10 for them from the 28. Antoine Smith running the football, and he gets close to the 35-yard line. Brian Simmons with the tackle. Defensively for the Bengals, they've been struggling getting pressure on the quarterback. Up front, Bankston, Von Oelhoffen, and Simmons. And the linebackers, two rookies in the middle, Brian Simmons and Takeo Spikes. And in the secondary, Ashley Ambrose, Artrell Hawkins at the corners, and Myers and Shade are the safeties. Second down and 4 from the 33. Out of the I formation. Andre Reed to the near side. Here's Smith again, shredding through the Cincinnati defense, and he gets up to the 41-yard line, a gain of 7.
This is what the Buffalo Bills do. They bring in Sam Gash and Antoine Smith and just pound at the defense. And now they're bringing in Thurman Thomas and 2 tight ends. It's going to be a completely different offensive look for this Bengals defense. And this Bengals defense, Bruce Kozlik told us it's full of young players. They just haven't seen this type of stuff yet. Next year, he hopes that they're going to stop making so many mistakes and their athleticism will take over.
From the 41-yard line, a first down. Andre Reed, the motion man. Play action. Flutie setting up, looks backside, and it's caught. Remersma, great reception, hurdles a man, gets out of bounds at the 30. Greg Myers forces him out of bounds, but what a catch by the tight end, all fingertips.
Brian Simmons went for the interception, and Remersma just stuck with it and pulled it down for the big gain. Brian Simmons and Takeo Spikes, the 2 rookie inside linebackers, they've got so much ability that they try and do things, and sometimes it gets him into trouble. You see there, he tries to go for the interception. Remersma pulls it down and turns it upfield.
Jay Remersma, second year out of Michigan, littlest catch on the season. Now Smith stutter stepping at the line of scrimmage, and he gets back to the 30-yard line. Tackle on the play made by Adrian Ross.
Antoine Smith, the kind of runner you don't want to let get ahead of steam. When you make him stop and change direction, he's much easier to defend because he doesn't have the explosive burst like a Thurman Thomas or a Barry Sanders. But once he gets ahead of steam, he can make good cuts at full speed, and that's when he's difficult because he's such a big back.
Thurman Thomas lines up as a wide receiver on the far side. Remersma in the slot. Flutie out of the shotgun under pressure. Flutie still running. Out of the pocket with a lane. Doug Flutie cuts it back, and Flutie down inside the 10-yard line. That's what makes him oh so dangerous. A gain of 23.
At the beginning of the play, it looks like it's going to be a sack or at least an incompletion, and that's why Doug Flutie has been so effective this year. He does not give up any bad plays. He does not get sacked. He doesn't throw the football away. He gets good yardage, and in certain situations, he makes big plays out of nothing.
Got a great block on that run by Panos. Flutie again, broken play, and he just leans forward. Flutie tackled by Takeo Spikes.
A little trouble with the snap right there with Doug Flutie. You'll see either the center will snap it too quick or the quarterback sometimes pulls out because he anticipates it. He just turns away from the football and just never has it. The ball is right there on his hip, and that's not where we're supposed to be. He wants to hand it off there to Antoine. You see Antoine Smith trying to reach for it, and then you just tuck it and say next play. Just keep hold of the ball. Don't turn it over.
Second down, goal to go from the 6-yard line. Thurman Thomas skipping through the hole, spins down. At the 3-yard line, maybe the 2-yard line, Brian Simmons with the tackle, the rookie from North Carolina.
And just like every team on the road, this Buffalo Bills offense has taken the Cincinnati crowd out of it. It feels like it's so quiet here. You could talk to the guys on the sideline from up here in the booth. There's just nothing happening for this crowd to cheer about, and you can tell.
So it brings up 3rd down, goal to go from the 2. Molds far to the, stood wide to the far side. Reed to the near side, out of the I formation. Flutie looking in the corner for Molds, incomplete. Artrell Hawkins covering, and Cincinnati, they come up with some good coverage there, and here comes the field goal unit.
Artrell Hawkins working against Eric Molds, who is having a great year. But Artrell Hawkins, the thing about him, he is a rookie, but he's got great athletic ability, great speed, and that can make up for a lot of inexperience just in athletic ability. And as he gets more experience, he's going to be a great player in the National Football League.
Brings on Steve Christie to attempt the 20-yarder, and it's good. Christie last week 3 of 4 against New England, and the Bills take a 10-0 lead. 6:12 to go in the first quarter of play. Buffalo scoring quickly. They lead it 10-0. And the last drive, 9 plays covering 70 yards. A 20-yard field goal by Steve Christie, but also Doug Flutie with the longest run of the season for him, a 23-yarder. The Bengals starting from the 10-yard line. Brandon Bennett running the football. And Bennett over the 25 up to the 27-yard line before being stopped. A gain of 18 yards. Now Monday on CBS, David Alan Grier guest stars on Cosby. Then Kevin James and Jerry Stiller star in King of Queens, followed by an all-new episode of Monday night's #1 comedy, Everybody Loves Raymond, and the show critics are calling the best new comedy of the year, Becker, starring Ted Danson, followed by an all-new LA Doctors Monday on CBS. And a telling statistic. So far, total yards in the favor of the Bills.
Okay, baby.
Quick strike, Carl Pickens near side, and Pickens ridden out of bounds by Thomas Smith. Defensively for Buffalo, last week they had 4 sacks and only allowed 44 rushing yards against New England. Bruce Smith with 8 sacks on the season. Phil Hansen with 6.5 on the other side. And the linebackers, they're really impressed with the play of the rookie Sam Coward out of Florida State, Northern Cummings and Rogers. The secondary, Schultz, Jones are the safeties, Smith and Irvin, the corners. 2nd and 7 from the 31-yard line. Scott in motion. O'Donnell out of the backfield. Corey Dillon with the reception. Gets up to the 30-yard line, making the 31, where he's stopped by Sam Coward. And the boos once again being heard by the Bengals here in Cincinnati.
Well, when Neil O'Donnell got sacked on the first play of the game, you knew he was going to start getting rid of the ball just a little bit quicker. And you've seen 2 quick throws, one to Carl Pickens and the other to Milne. And you'll continue to see that. One of the things the Bengals have got to do is get the ball in the hands of the guys outside. They got to go down the field. They've got to like their matchups at wide receiver.
3rd and 7 from the 31. They need to get to the 39 for a first down. On the slant pattern, Pickens drops the football, and it's incomplete. Now let's head to New York and check in with Jim Nantz.
All right, thank you, Gus. 12 years ago today, Vinny Testaverde won the Heisman Trophy. Now he leads the AFC in passing. His 21st touchdown pass of the year, and the Jets score first on Seattle. Back to you.
All right, Jim. Here in Cincinnati, 4:50 to go in the first quarter. It's all Buffalo so far. They lead 10-0. Lee Johnson punting it away. Low spiraling kick. Williams allows it to bounce into the end zone for a touchdown. 4:39 remaining. 69-yard punt for Johnson.
CBS rocks with regional action. The Patriots ride into Ram territory. The Raiders battle the Bills. The Steelers slam into the Buccaneers. The Chargers collide with the Seahawks, or the New York Giants welcome the Big Bad Broncos. It all starts with the NFL today, the way it should be.
When a doctor's pregnancy
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Intrigue by Oldsmobile and by Pizza Hut, home of the stuffed crust pizza, the most fun you can have with a pizza.
And welcome back to Synergy Field here in Cincinnati, Ohio, where the Buffalo Bills with the football and a 10-0 lead. Gus Johnson, Steve Tasker with you. First down and 10 from the 20-yard line. Andre Reed in motion out of the pro set. Flutie passing on first down underneath Andre Reed, and another first down for Buffalo up to the 31-yard line.
Buffalo showing some good offensive sets, and one of the things I spoke to Dick LeBeau, the defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he said one of the problems that Buffalo presents is the fact that they can do a lot of things from a different set. You saw there a formation that we hadn't seen yet in the game where Sam Gashin and Antoine Smith were beside each other rather than in the I formation, and that's just one more wrinkle for the defense to think about.
Bills from the 31-yard line. Antoine Smith, power running straight ahead. A lot of room there for Antoine. Gets to the 35-yard line. Kimo von Oelhoffen with the tackle, and talking to Dick LeBeau, their defensive coordinator, and everybody that's associated with this Bengals organization, and also the people on the street. And the first thing they usually say to you is the Bengals are very young.
And that's right. Dick LeBeau has had to have 3 or 4 starters at all positions, all over the field on his defense, and he's tried everything from personnel combinations to different schemes to try and get the most out of them. He's been around the league for a long, long time.
Thurman Thomas in the backfield now. Flutie passing. Finds Thomas in the flats. Stop and starting. The old guy still has some jitterbug left in him. Gets close to a first down. Brian Simmons with the tackle.
There's a guy with a little mileage that still has a little slick left in him. He came out of the backfield and looked like he was going to be stopped for no gain or perhaps even a loss. And Raynard Wilson found out that Thurman Thomas can move sideways just as quickly as he can move up the field. And Thurman made something out of nothing on that play.
In his 11th year out of Oklahoma State. 3rd down and 1 for Buffalo from the 40. Gash and Antoine Smith line up in the I. Double tight end set for the Bills. Antoine Smith leans forward, and I don't know. Glenn Steele, James Francis also in on the play, and they didn't make it. They did not make it.
Flutie hands off to Jonathan Linton, who's another big running back the Bills possess. They put him in on short yardage situation. You see there John Fina hopping on one leg, couldn't finish off his block there because he got stepped on, and that was the reason the play was unsuccessful. You had a tackle on the left side you're running behind. He couldn't finish his block.
And a false start against Buffalo.
Prior to the snap, false start, 40 offense, 5 yards, repeat 4th down.
You see here as they push the ball on the left side. You'll see John Fina right there get stepped on. Watch how he, instead of pushing, he'll start to hop on his leg. See him hopping. He can't help Jonathan Linton get the first down, and that was the difference.
Chris Moore sends it away. Damon Gibson with the fair catch at the 21. A 44-yard punt. 1:53 remaining in the first quarter. 10-0 Bills. Ralph Wilson, the owner of the Buffalo Bills, and got himself in a little hot water last week after the loss to New England when he said the officiating was the worst and it was embarrassing to the league. They fined him $50,000. Mr. Wilson definitely had a response. On first down, Corey Dillon running the football over the right side.
It was a little out of character for Mr. Wilson because he's one of the owners that really shuns the spotlight. When they have owners meetings and the media's all there at the owners meeting, he's one of the guys that leaves through the kitchen entrance. You know, he doesn't want to talk to the media. He prefers to have his players be in the spotlight for the organization. It was really out of character for him. It really shows how upset he was after last week's game.
Cincinnati with the football, trailing 10-0, 2nd and 7 from the 24. Play action. O'Donnell looks down the sideline for Scott, and he's got it out of bounds. Darnay Scott with the reception. A big gain for the Bengals.
Darnay Scott being guarded by Kenny Irvin. You'll see here as he gets a jam. Then Darnay Scott slips it, and he gets open. Neil O'Donnell finds him, and he's down the sidelines right out of the sun, makes the grab. Kenny Irvin said when we spoke to him yesterday, this is a talented couple of receivers that the Bengals can put on the field. Darnay Scott, who's been injured this year, is now getting back to his true form, and they've got a little bit more potent offense this week than they've had in past weeks.
A 31-yard gain for Scott. He's the motion man. Here comes the blitz, picked up. O'Donnell, quick fire. Pickens lost it out of bounds. Irvin with the tackle. And let's see where they mark it.
They marked it where the ball went out of bounds. They said they're giving him possession of the ball and a fumble, and he lost that will be a catch for a loss. Yeah, he was trying to tuck it away, and the ball went backwards. And Neil O'Donnell, when they go bad, they really go bad, and they stay bad until you can turn around. Neil O'Donnell knows that this team has been snake bitten in a lot of ways this season.
Makes it second down at 14. And the Bengals stay on the ground. They get it up to the 40-yard line. Now Monday on CBS, if you're tired of laughing at your own family, try laughing at his. Kevin James stars with Jerry Stiller in the new hit comedy King of Queens Monday on CBS. So the Bengals face with 3rd down and 5 from the 41-yard line. They need to get to the 34 for first down. 3-receiver package for Cincinnati. O'Donnell out of the shotgun. Neil O'Donnell, and he overthrows Darnay Scott.
Neil O'Donnell just missed Darnay Scott. He just threw it right over the top of his head. Darnay Scott, looking back into the sun, didn't even make an attempt to jump for the ball. He knew it was past him. And it was at this point when, as a receiver, when you come out of this break, you expect the ball there. You can see him gather and start. He says, I just can't. He knew he couldn't get up quick enough to make an attempt for it. So he just watched as the ball went over his head.
So Lee Johnson at the 45-yard line, and Kevin Williams stands at the 10. High wobbly kick. And the ball gets into the end zone. Damon Gibson had a beat on it, but he couldn't track it down. Been that kind of year for Cincinnati.
Lee Johnson wishes he had an inside the 20. You watch here, the object is to bat the ball out of the end zone. He just couldn't get it done.
Bruce Coslett trying to keep a positive outlook despite his team's 2-10 record. Buffalo takes over. Flutie steps up in the pocket, and it's crunched. Flutie down at the 15-yard line. It's Simmons with the tackle. And if you take a look around the stadium here in Cincinnati, the fans have one thing on their mind, and that's getting rid of Mike Brown, who runs the team.
Well, anytime a team struggles, the fans, the media, if there's any criticism, it all focuses on one person. Now, the team will know that a lot of things conspire to make a bad season. But whenever there's criticism, everything focuses on one guy, or the owner, the quarterback, the offensive, defensive coordinator. Somebody takes the heat. In this case, it's Mike Brown.
2nd and 14. And it's intercepted. Simmons towards the end zone. Down inside the 5. Turn it around.
Anytime you're struggling, sometimes all it takes is a spark, and an interception can do it. You watch here as Flutie feels the pressure, tries to throw it. Quinn Early was zigging. He threw the zag. Brian Simmons catches it. Looks like he's going to get in. Flutie makes him cut back into the pursuit. And watch Doug Flutie. He's not giving up on it, even though the pick was probably his fault. He knows he's got to keep the guy in the end zone, because as long as they're not in the end zone now, you got a chance to stop them.
First interception for Flutie in his last 3 ball games. And the Bengals have it first down goal to go from the Buffalo 3. Corey Dillon, the deep back, with Milne, and Phil Hansen jumps off sides.
Looks as though the right guard moved, perhaps Mike Goff.
Start of the snap, false start. 63 offense, 5 yards, repeat first down.
And it was. Remember, this offensive line for Cincinnati playing without Graham and Blackman, their normal starting guards, who are out with injuries.
This is a young offensive line, but they're playing against a very veteran defensive line for Buffalo. And in cases like that, with Bruce Smith, with Ted Washington, with Phil Hansen up there, that's a lot of NFL games playing against a group of very inexperienced offensive linemen for Cincinnati.
And the red zone numbers for the Bengals this season. From the 8-yard line, O'Donnell, plenty of time, back of the end zone, touchdown. Darnay Scott. Darnay Scott is 6th receiving touchdown of the season, and the Bengals are back in business.
The Bengals had struggled on their first few possessions, but with the turnover by Brian Simmons, he gave them an opportunity to get some points and perhaps get a spark and get something going. Now we've got a problem.
They muff the snap. Loose ball picked up. Sam Rogers. And the ball cannot be advanced. The play is dead, but the Bengals unable to get the snap down.
The touchdown, Neil O'Donnell had lots of time. He told us, as we mentioned in our open, that if he has time to throw the football down the field, the Bengals can make it interesting in this game. And the Buffalo Bills have seen their lead cut to 4. You'll see here's the snap come back to the holder Lee Johnson. It bounces right at the spot where he wants to place it, and it's hard, and it skitters through. On AstroTurf, the ball bounces very true, and usually it's easier to handle, but when it hits the ground at that angle of a low snap, it skids along the ground and does not come up off the turf.
Johnson kicking off. Williams in the end zone, and he decides to run it out. And Williams over the 20-yard line. Gus Johnson and Steve Tasker with you, and Simmons providing a big spark for this Cincinnati team.
And if you look back over the history of the National Football League, you've seen teams' whole seasons been turned around by one play here or there. Now, it's a little late in the season for the Cincinnati Bengals to be thinking about turning an entire season around, but Bruce Coslett last night had a speech that he gave his team in their meetings before this game and said, you know, guys, let's forget about this. Let's get out of this woe is me attitude and start thinking positive and start cheering for each other. And some of the assistant coaches told me that that made a difference. It kind of lifted a burden off of the team.
Antoine Smith running the football on first down. Over the 25 up to the 26-yard line. Tackled by Adrian Ross. Now next weekend, beginning Saturday at 1 Eastern, CBS Sports goes to the land down under for coverage of the President's Cup. Jack Nicklaus skippers the U.S. team, spearheaded by Mark O'Meara, Tiger Woods, and David Duval, while the international team sports the likes of Greg Norman, Nick Price, and Vijay Singh. Final round coverage tees off Sunday at 4 on CBS. 3-yard pickup on the last play, 2nd and 7 from the 27. Andre Reed in motion. Smith again looking for a hole, and nothing doing. Nowhere to go. James Francis, along with Kimo von Oelhoffen with the tackle.
And you saw the momentum now that the Buffalo Bills grabbed, and from the first series has really shifted back. Cincinnati's defense is playing much more aggressively with much more energy, and they're catching the Buffalo offense in the backfield and getting good penetration up front. And all thanks to that turnover by Brian Simmons. And there's James Francis, the guy that made that tackle.
James Francis, the veteran linebacker on this team, his 9th year out of Baylor. 3rd down and 9 from the 25. 3-receiver package for the Bills. And somebody on the right side of the offensive line jumping. Looks like Jerry Ostrowski. Cincinnati showing blitz.
Snap. False start. Number 7 offense. 5 yards. Repeat third down.
They called that on Doug Flutie as he moved backwards out of his stance before the snap. But in actuality, it wasn't him alone. Jerry Ostrowski in the right side of the offensive line also moved. Flutie's much more comfortable. He said that a couple of times. He's much more comfortable out of the shotgun formation with everybody spread all over the field. And you get the feeling it's because all the years he played in Canada in that wide open field up there, it's really trained him well for this kind of situation in the NFL.
Third down and 14 from the 20. They need to get to the 34-yard line for first down. Flutie backpedaling under pressure, and he goes down. Doug Flutie sacked at the 15-yard line, the second sack of the day. Raynard Wilson got him.
One of the things you think about when you play Doug Flutie is the fact that it's going to be difficult to get sacks, but the Cincinnati Bengals have gotten him twice here in the first half of this football game. You'll see Raynard Wilson come out and just stay with it, working against Jerry Ostrowski, and Ostrowski does it pretty well, running him around the pocket, but Flutie's mobility gets him into trouble in that instance.
Damon Gibson, fair catch signal at the 41, and he had 10 yards to run the football. A 44-yard punt. 11:39 remaining in the second quarter. 10-6 Bills.
To Ram territory. The Raiders battle the Bills. The Steelers slam into the Buccaneers. The Chargers collide with the Seahawks. Or the New York Giants welcome the Big Bad Broncos. It all starts with the NFL today, the way it should be. The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. The NASDAQ MX Market Group, the market of markets. And by Citizen. Today more than ever, Citizen is how the world tells time.
Sensational day here in Cincinnati, where the home team trails Buffalo 10-6. 11 minutes, 39 seconds remaining in the second quarter. First down and 10 from the 43 for Cincinnati. Play action, O'Donnell steps up in the pocket, throws, Pickens with the catch, goes down at the 43. Henry Jones, the safety, with the hit, but it's a gain of 20 yards.
Neil O'Donnell is really a pure pocket passer, and they moved him out to his right that time on the blitz. You'll see Joe Cummings come up. You see 51 there on the ground after the blitz, and he just moves to his right, finds Carl Pickens, and that's good enough for the first down.
From the 38, here comes the blitz. Dillon, and Dillon struggles to get to the 35. Henry Jones with the tackle again.
The Bengals had good field position on this drive. It could have been better. If you watch here after the punt, you catch the ball, and you'll see the coverage is way back down the field. There's a guy on the ground there. This guy's blocked. This guy is way out in the middle of the field in space. Could have been up past midfield, but in essence, the Bengals are moving the football anyway.
Stepford Williams in motion. 3rd and 8. O'Donnell. Pickens. Carl Pickens inside the 10. Pushed out of bounds by Schultz, but now the Bengals are starting to get a little rhythm.
Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott are a couple of great receivers, and in fact, it's probably their presence on this club that has kept them in a lot of games. They can really move it, and you'll see there as Stepford Williams goes right down the sideline, clears out the defense, and Carl Pickens is left wide open with the free safety, Kurt Schultz, coming over to make the tackle.
Carl Pickens came into this game needing 17 yards for 6,000, and he got big yardage on that play. He got his 6,000 yards. Corey Dillon breaks it back, and Dillon gets close to the 5-yard line. Pickens on the day so far. 4 catches, 46 yards. Phil Hansen in on the tackle for Buffalo along with Cummings. And an injured player on the field. Maybe Corey Dillon. Looks like it is. It is Corey Dillon. 9:39 to go in the first half of play. Back to Cincinnati after this.
Football Championship, CBS Sports.
Corey Dillon on the sidelines, shoulder pads off. He's been hampered by a number of nagging injuries this season, a wrist as well as ribs. O'Donnell passing, looking in the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Darnay Scott, but the ball was thrown behind him, and there is a flag on the play.
And with Corey Dillon out, you know the emphasis shifts to Neil O'Donnell's shoulders even more so.
Offside, 99 defense. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat second down.
Now Corey Dillon was running, trying to get in the end zone. You'll see here as he goes down somewhere in the pileup. This is 28 Corey Dillon right there. In the pileup somewhere, his ribs get hit. At least it appears that his ribs have been hit, and they have already been hurt and bruised. So you know how that is when you get it re-injured. It's even worse. And they continue to work on, looks like, his shoulder there.
Second down goal to go from the 3-yard line. O'Donnell sprinting out, quick fire, touchdown. Pickens had it long enough, and they call it a touchdown right in front of Thomas Smith, and they take the lead.
Once you have the ball in both hands with both feet on the ground, it doesn't matter what happens. He's got the ball, both feet are down, then it comes out. You can't really tell from that angle. Maybe we'll see it better from here as Carl Pickens catches the football. 1 foot, 2 foot.
Touchdown. And this time the extra point is good. Another look. Carl Pickens. 5 catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown.
Let me tell you about the best traffic report in town.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Gateway. Let's talk about your Gateway. And by Taco Bell.
And welcome back, Gus Johnson, Steve Tasker. This is regular speed, and the referee has to make a decision this quickly. And they called it a touchdown.
And we have watched this over and over here in the booth and down in our production truck, and none of us can decide whether some of us think it was a touchdown, some of us think it was not a touchdown. That's how difficult it has been for the officials this year in the National Football League, but it counted here.
Lee Johnson sending it away, and Kevin Williams inside his own 5. Williams up to the 20, still running. Williams breaks a tackle, flags on the play, and he's hauled down at the 42 by Lee Johnson. A return of 40 yards.
It's a hold against the Buffalo Bills, and so many times you see a great return. And it's usually not a beef when you get about 6 flags flying down towards the same spot in the field.
Going to run back, illegal block in the back, above the waist, 56 of the receiving team, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, first down.
Sam Cowart called for the penalty. And last week, the Buffalo organization shocked by the call that went against them, the Sean Jefferson reception, and they said his feet were out of bounds, and on the replay it showed that his feet were out of bounds.
As you watch the Buffalo Bills this year, Wade Phillips is not a guy like Tom Landry. He wears it on his sleeve. You know how he feels. If he's sick to his stomach, you can see it on his face.
Reuben Brown, the Bills' left guard, is not in the game. He's out with an injured pectoral muscle. First down and 10 from the 8-yard line. Fans getting back into it here in Cincinnati. Flutie, short drop underneath. Reed with the catch, turns it up over the 15-yard line up to the 17. Let's take a look at the CBS Sportsline question of the week. Who is the most feared pass rusher in the game today? This is a great question. Log on to vote at cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online at keyword CBS Sportsline. That is a great one. Toss up. 2nd and 2 from the 17. And the Bills staying on the ground, and they pick up the first down. Thurman Thomas with the carry, tripped up by Simmons.
One of the things about this Buffalo offense, it is very balanced, and I think it really improves the quality of its play, just in play selection. You saw there the great pass to Andre Reed on first down, a short hitch. Now they give the ball to Thurman Thomas. Now they bring new people in. They do something different. They are a handful to prepare for defensively, and it has really served them well throughout the entire season.
First down from their own 21. Play action Flutie. Sets up, going for the home run again. This time for Reed, incomplete. Andre Reed had a step on Ashley Ambrose, but Doug Flutie couldn't deliver it to him.
You see the veteran Andre Reed going down the sidelines, really stiff-arming Ashley Ambrose at the end of the play. You'll watch as he looks back for the ball and thinks, well, I have to slow up. No, then he pushes off Ashley Ambrose. Perhaps a penalty had the ball been catchable, but otherwise it was a good no call.
Andre Reed, truly one of the great receivers in NFL history. There are the numbers on Flutie. 2nd and 10 from the 21. Antoine Smith runs into a sea of black jerseys. James Francis making first contact, and you can tell that this Cincinnati defense, after the turnover, they're starting to liven up a little bit.
Brian Simmons' turnover has really energized this defense. Just see Sam Gash leading Antoine Smith right into the hole, and bang! Right there, met by a host of Cincinnati Bengals, and they are just really fired up on the defensive side of the football, and it's been carried into the offensive side as well.
3rd down and 10 from the 21. They need to get to the 31 for a first down. 3 receivers in the game. Flutie over the middle, caught. Williams with the catch and a first down. Shade with the tackle, and it's a gain of 11.
You can see in this game as the Cincinnati Bengals start to play more energized. Emotion in the National Football League is the great equalizer. Forget the record. If you can show up to play on a Sunday, you know you've got the guys on your team that can win. And the Cincinnati Bengals have stood up here and taken a lead when it looked like very early they were going to be out of it quick.
First down from the 34 now for Buffalo. Trailing 13 and 10, 13-10. Far side. Reed with the catch and a first down. Kept both feet in bounds, picked up 11 yards.
Just a pretty catch by a veteran receiver. Go out and he stays patient on the route. You'll watch as he turns the sideline. He knows where it is. He'll plant that front foot and just drag the back foot in, knowing that he'll get it down right at the stick, and that is just textbook.
Dick LeBeau rooting on his defense on the sidelines. They have struggled this season. 1st and 10 from the 44 for Buffalo. Inside handoff. And the fullback with a little room, maybe a couple of yards on the play.
You'll see here some of the numbers that illustrate the struggles that the Bengals have had on defense. 30th in 3rd downs, 30th in points allowed. Total defense, they're last in the football league. You know, that's a definite sign of 2 things: youth and a lot of new players, even if they are veteran free agents. A lot of youth and a lot of new players on that team that just have not gelled yet.
8th play of the drive for Buffalo that started at their own 8. 2nd and 8 from the 46. Flutie, slant pattern, Molds with the catch at the 40 and another first down. And boy, is this guy getting better and better every game.
He's really emerging as one of the guys you talk about as having a great year, starting to emerge, turn the corner, become an elite wide receiver. You see him work against the physical Ashley Ambrose there, just shrugging off the chuck and then turning up the football field. And really, a lot the prototype receiver in the National Football League now is a guy that can catch the football and then run like a running back once he's got it.
Former 1st-round pick out of Mississippi State. First down and 10 from the 39. Here comes the blitz. Flutie gets out of trouble. Thurman Thomas, and Thomas dragged down at the 35-yard line. Adrian Ross with the stop.
It's a great defensive play by Adrian Ross. Doug Flutie pulling that little magic shovel pass on a screen pass to Thurman Thomas, just keeping the play alive, avoiding the blitz. But a great play by Adrian Ross kept that from being a big play for Buffalo. You'll watch Flutie avoid the rush. You see Brian Simmons, Takeo Spikes chasing him up inside. He avoids it, gets the ball to 34, the future Hall of Famer. And you see Joe Panos, if I'd have had him one more second, we'd had a big one.
2nd and 6 from the 35-yard line. Under 4 minutes to play. Antoine Smith got his shoulder square and all the way down to the 30. They need to get to the 29 for a first down. Spikes with the stop. And other scores from around the National Football League. Seattle, we saw him last week against Tennessee. Kitna, their quarterback, making his 2nd start of the season, has him in front.
When you throw to Joey Galloway out in Seattle, you know you're throwing it to one of the elite guys in the league. He is fast.
And New England up on Pittsburgh. 3rd down and short from the 30-yard line. Flutie passing, in trouble. Flutie, he's got to make something happen. Got it down the field, picked off. Ross at the 20 and down at the 30. And that time, the gamble by Doug Flutie cost the Buffalo Bills his 2nd interception of the day.
Sometimes when you gamble, it pays off, and Doug Flutie has made a living on it this year. The problem with this play is his guy is open when he throws it, but he has to put so much under it to get it there. The defense can break on the ball. You'll see here he has to put too much arc on the ball. Otherwise, Antoine Smith makes that catch, but Adrian Ross has so much time to break on the football, he makes the interception.
So Cincinnati takes over 1st and 10 from their own 29-yard line with a 13-10 advantage. O'Donnell play fake down the sideline. O'Donnell incomplete. Intended for Carl Pickens, but the ball slightly overthrown. Thomas Smith right there. So Bruce Coslett talked to us, and he told me that one of the reasons he decided to bench Neil O'Donnell was because he wanted a little spark, like John Kitna in Seattle last week. He also said that he wasn't getting the ball down the field. Not true today.
No, it's not. And they've really made a concerted effort to throw the football down the field. I think they like the matchups between Carl Pickens and defensive back Thomas Smith, and on the other side, Darnay Scott and Kenny Irvin. They think they've got that matchup, so they're going to exploit it and go down the field.
Corey Dillon back in the game. Gets it on the draw play, and Dillon maybe a yard on the play. Cummings with the tackle.
These two wide receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals have been the strength of their offense for a long time, and then the emergence of Corey Dillon last year has given them an added weapon. Offensively, the Bengals have scored points this year and moved the football. But a number of things, as we said earlier, have conspired. Both injuries to their offensive line, plus the fact their defense doesn't get a lot of turnovers. A lot of things have forced them into bad spots as an offense, but they have always been able to move the football.
Brings up 3rd down and 9 from the 30-yard line. O'Donnell over the middle, incomplete. Darnay Scott had a hand on the football, but couldn't haul it in. Marlo Perry right there. So Lee Johnson and the punting unit back on the field for the Bengals. And Johnson at the 15-yard line. Back deep, Kevin Williams at the 20. 4th punt of the game for Lee Johnson. And he dropped the ball. Luckily, there was no pass rush. So he calmly turns around and kicks it, and it bounces out of bounds.
There's going to be an obvious penalty there. Anytime that happens, the coverage team leaves too early, and I think they'll probably accept the punt because he only got a 35-yard punt.
Feels like it's Friday the 13th here in Cincinnati.
You see there, the ball just goes right through his hands. He's got to make that catch, but he knows he's got a lot of time. Right then is the time when you try and get as much out of that kick as you can.
9 of the kicking team illegally downfield. Penalties declined. 1st down, Buffalo.
A minute, 54 seconds remaining in the first half. Back to Cincy after this. Coming up on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report, Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and Michael Lombardi will have all the scores and highlights, plus a preview of the Kansas City-Denver game. That's all coming up on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. Our score here, Cincinnati leading it 13-10 with 1:54 to go In the first half of play, Doug Flutie has thrown 2 interceptions in this game. Started off strong with the big 55-yard connection with Eric Moulds from the 35. And Jamie Nails moving on the offensive line for Buffalo.
Jamie Nails playing because of the injury to Reuben Brown.
Prior to the snap, false start, 74 offense, 5 yards, repeat first down.
Jamie Nails is one of those guys that when you see him anywhere, you know he's a professional football player. He's 6'6", weighs 354 pounds. And there's just nothing else you can see the guy doing except maybe what, a sumo wrestler or something?
Kanishiwa, first down and a long 15 from the 30. Underneath, Moulds, and he breaks a tackle. He's got speed. Moulds at the 30-yard line. What an individual performance. Touchdown. 70 yards.
Eric Moulds on a completely individual effort after he caught the ball. You see why he's going to be a great player in this football league. He's so big and so physical at the wide receiver position. He's 6 foot, 204 pounds, and he just shrugged off a couple of blockers. And then, after doing the physical part of it, he outran him with speed to the end zone for a huge play here in the first half.
Over 1,000 receiving yards on the season. Moulds has 3 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown today. He broke tackles from Hawkins, Myers, and Sam Shade. Watch this.
You see there as he outruns one, shrugs off Greg Myers there on the tackle. Now watch as the pursuit gets him. Artrell Hawkins trying to make perhaps a turnover, didn't go for the hard tackle, and Eric Moulds shrugs him and outruns everybody to the end zone.
For Eric Moulds, and that was some Jerry Rice-like running after the catch there.
At a golf tournament in the off-season, I spoke with Eric Moulds' college coach, who was Jackie Sherrill, and he told me, and that Jackie Sherrill is a name that people know. He has been around the block and coached a lot of great players. He told me that Eric Moulds is the best athlete he has ever coached, and he gave you an idea of why that is on that play there. That was a supreme individual effort on a quick slant route. And when a quarterback sees it, that will pick the entire Buffalo Bills offense and defense up.
This ball going into the end zone. And the Bengals start from their own 20 with 1:41 remaining.
You'll see here, you'll see the blitz come here. Eric Moulds just comes in. Flutie hits him, and then this guy has to come in and make the tackle, and it's just too much ground. The ball is there too quickly, and Eric Moulds is able to shrug the tackle off and then run to daylight, bang, through that tackle, and then because of the traffic, he just outruns him to the end zone, and that is for the first 1,000-yard receiving year in his career.
So Cincinnati taking over at their own 20-yard line, trailing 17-13. O'Donnell out of the shotgun. Darnay Scott, the motion man. O'Donnell over the middle, caught by Scott. And Darnay Scott up to the 30-yard line and a first down. A gain of 10 where Ken Urban tackled it. And the timeouts remaining, each with 3. O'Donnell again. Plenty of time to throw the ball, and it's almost picked off. Marlo Perry had it in his hands and just couldn't hang on.
Marlo Perry, the linebacker here who catches the tipped ball, was in a very serious car accident on Friday of this week, in which a passenger of another car was actually killed.
In Buffalo.
In Buffalo. He was not at fault in the accident, and had he not had his seatbelt and shoulder harness on, the police have said he may have been seriously injured.
2nd and 10 from the 30 for Cincinnati. Neil O'Donnell knocked away at the last moment. Great play by Schultz. Kurt Schultz reaching up high and knocking it out of bounds.
Coaches tell you, reach with both hands. But when you reach with 2 hands, I always try to tell my coaches, you can't reach as far. Kurt Schultz, instead of going for the interceptions, makes sure and just knocks the ball away they'll take their chances on the incompletion. A great play by Schultz breaking on that football.
Looked like a shot blocker there, Kurt Schultz. So the Bengals now 3rd down and a long 10. They need to get to the 40 for a first. 3 receivers in the game for the Bengals. Here's O'Donnell under pressure. O'Donnell lost it and is sacked in the backfield. Marcellus Wiley, the second-year man from Columbia, came hard around the edge, and he comes up with the tackle.
Wade Phillips had told us a week or two ago that he wanted Marcellus Wiley to be a stronger presence in all his roles, even pass rush, also against the run. You see there, that's a smart play, batting the football away from Neil O'Donnell, giving your team a chance for the turnover late in the first half.
Marcellus Wiley, they feel, is the heir apparent to the great Bruce Smith, who is in his 14th season. And they found him out of Columbia, the Ivy League. Now don't forget, coming up at halftime, Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and Michael Lombardi will have scores and highlights for you from around the league, plus a preview of that big Kansas City-Denver game, as Denver tries to become only the 3rd team in the National Football League's history to improve to 13-0. The other one, the 1934, I believe, Chicago Bears, yes, and the 72 Dolphins. That was 17-0.
That is a phenomenal record for a team at this point in the season.
And the timeout situation. Lee Johnson standing at his own 5-yard line. And Williams at the 30.
We'll see Lee Johnson has fumbled a snap on an extra point and a punt snap. We'll see if he can get it together here.
And the game clock are the same. 4th down.
So here we go. Snapper has had some problems today.
Greg Truitt
for the Bengals, 5th punt of the day. Lee Johnson at the 5. Perfect snap. He got it off. Low wobbly kick. Williams catches it on the run at the 40. Tried to turn it back but slips and is down at the 43-yard line. A 44-yard punt and a 6-yard return, where he's stopped by Thomas Randolph.
Interestingly enough, I was talking to Al Roberts, the special teams coach for the Bengals, and he said that corner of the field dries out, is the last corner to dry out. The sun hits the field, so that down low towards the Bengals bench, near this sideline, you see Al Roberts there. The field doesn't dry out as quickly, and it also becomes wet more quickly due to the humidity and this unseasonably warm weather here in Cincinnati.
So the Bills break the huddle, leading at 17-13, 49 seconds remaining in the first half of play. Thurman Thomas in the backfield, Reimers Maul the motion man. Handoff, Thurman Thomas shredding through the defense all the way down to the 45-yard line. A gain of 11 and a timeout. .36 seconds remaining in the first half. Buffalo with one more timeout to go.
In '96, Fred Couples rallied Team USA to a remarkable victory. Now America's best battle the world's great regional action. The Patriots ride into Ram territory. The Raiders battle the Bills. The Steelers slam into the Buccaneers. The Chargers collide with the Seahawks, while the New York Giants welcome the big bad Broncos. It all starts with the NFL today, the way it should be.
Bills lead at 17-13. They have one timeout remaining, and the football at the Cincinnati 45-yard line, and they have adjusted the clock to 42 seconds as opposed to 36.
If the Bills can get the football to about the 38-yard line of the Bengals, they could try a very long field goal from Steve Christie.
Christie's long on the season, a 47-yarder from the 45. Doug Flutie, quick strike, Williams, and he can't hold on, and Myers really delivered a shot. Greg Myers, the safety, came up, and he saw red. Williams gets up slowly.
Nothing hurts worse than when you're running as hard as you can. Then you get up in the air. You can't flinch and you can't flinch and make sure you make the catch. You see Doug Flutie trying to will that football into Kevin Williams' hands, but can't do it.
2nd and 10 from the 45. Flutie rolling out, quick toss, Thomas, and he's chopped down from behind at the 40-yard line by Raynard Wilson. So once again, let's go over as Flutie calls timeout. Monday on CBS, a doctor is teaching medical students to be the best, but when an intern misses a diagnosis, it could cost a patient his life. Ken Olin stars in an all-new episode of LA Doctors Monday on CBS. Once again, go over the scoring for you. Buffalo got off first. Antoine Smith with the 1-yard run. The touchdown set up by a 55-yard reception by Eric Moulds from Doug Flutie. Then Steve Christie added a 20-yard field goal. Cincinnati came back, though, with an 8-yard touchdown pass to Darnay Scott from Neil O'Donnell on an interception by Brian Simmons. And then Cincinnati added a 3-yard touchdown pass, O'Donnell to Pickens. But Buffalo responded with the 70-yard touchdown, Flutie to Moulds.
Now in this situation, the Buffalo Bills need about 5 yards to get inside a good percentage for Steve Christie to attempt a field goal. If they do that quickly, then they'll have some time perhaps to take a couple of shots at the end zone before the field goal try.
3rd down and 5 from the 40-yard line. 27 seconds to go in the first half. Flutie, Reed has the first down but can't get out of bounds. Clock still running. Doug Flutie wants his team back at the line of scrimmage, and they get there quickly. And Flutie downs the ball. With 9 seconds left.
With 9 seconds left, you go for the field goal right away. There's not enough time. Too many things can happen. Bad not to give Steve Christie an attempt at this. He's got a strong leg, more than enough leg to get it there. We'll see if he can be accurate. He's missed a couple of field goals this year, but he is an excellent field goal kicker.
52-yard field goal as long as 47, and it's up and good. Nailed it. Steve Christie last week 3 of 4 against New England, and he gets the 52-yarder to go for him.
Steve Christie, I've held for him, and one of the problems he has when he gets a long field goal is he tries to hurry the approach. This time he takes his time, and you can see it's like a golf shot. When you hit it good, you watch it the whole way. And watch Wade Phillips once again. He's not one to be subdued in his celebration.
Wade kind of vertically challenged there, trying to get up in the air. So with 4 seconds to go in the second quarter of play, Buffalo leading at 20-13, and this is a very important game for your former team, the Buffalo Bills.
They've got to stay on pace with the Jets and Miami in the AFC East, and they've just got to win out. They feel like Wade Phillips told us yesterday that when the season starts, you feel like you need 10 wins to get in the playoffs, and it's still the same. Right now they stand at 7 with 4 games to play. You never know who's going to win. Once you get close to the end of the season, how everybody else does also has an effect on how many wins you need, even at this point, late point of the season.
Lee Johnson, rather Christie, kicking the ball away. And Bennett in the end zone drops it and takes a knee. The Bengals from the 20. I reckon Neil O'Donnell will just take a knee here.
Stranger things have happened, but yeah, that's the smart play. Just get in at halftime. You've played an excellent first half, got a couple of turnovers, made some points off those turnovers, and they're going to go in, make adjustments, and come out in the second half and try and continue their momentum that the Bills have somewhat gotten back now after a couple of good long drives.
Donald takes the knee, and the Bengals head into the locker room trailing by 7. Coming up next, it's the NASDAQ Amex halftime report after this message and a word from your local station.
Monday.
Could you hold the elevator?
Happy holidays from Channel 4.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Amex halftime report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our New York studio, the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. Now, coming up next for most of you on this doubleheader day, Kansas City and Denver. And with more on that marquee matchup from the Mile High City, Greg Gumbel and Phil Simms.
All right, Jim, here in Denver, a dusting of snow overnight had the workers out early clearing the field and taking the tarp off, but it certainly did catch our friend Phil Simms by surprise. Welcome to Mile High Stadium, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Frosty, the quarterback, in this rematch of Kansas City and Denver, the game in which the Kansas City Chiefs the first time around lost control down the stretch. The problem that the Chiefs have, though, is the way the Broncos start games, Phil. They jump on you with both feet.
Well, we've heard so much and we've talked so much about the first 15 plays of the Denver Broncos. They practiced it all week, and look what it does for John Elway. 125 quarterback rating in the first quarter. Terrell Davis, look at his rushing, 7.5 yards per rush. The Broncos offense and as a team, look what they've done. The big thing, 17 touchdowns they've scored. They've allowed 2. That means they're always in control. The scenarios favor them, and that's one of the big reasons why they've had so many blowouts this year.
Well, the Broncos are on such a roll, 12-0. Will Game 13 be lucky or unlucky for them? Consider this. The last time Kansas City won here in Denver was October of '95. It was inclement weather. They were led by a guy by the name of Marcus Allen. Let's go back to you, Jim.
All right, thank you, Greg and Frosty. Let's get everybody caught up on what's happening in the NFL today. All right, now Buffalo and Cincinnati, you know it, 20-13 with Flutie's 230 yards passing in the first half there, Marcus, the game we're enjoying right now.
Well, the Bills are dominating this game, but Flutie threw 2 INTs, and there's one questionable touchdown by Cincinnati that kept this game close. Eric Moses having an outstanding game so far.
And that's 300 yards total offense for the Bills in the first half, leading by 7 at the intermission. All right, elsewhere in the NFL today, look at the Seahawks, just seconds to go in the first half, leading at the Jets. The Jets have won 5 straight at home. But, hey, Joey Galloway, little pep talk from Erickson before the game, and did he ever listen?
He said, Joey, run fast. And that's what Joey does. Even Aaron Glenn, who's one of the fastest guys in the league, can't catch him. Joey Galloway, not once, but he's coming back with another one.
And Joey says, shh, hey, folks, listen, I got one more. One more. Hey, for you up there in the upper deck, here it is.
Does a great job on the contact here. Jim gets his arm beyond Aaron Glenn. You see this little contact down there. Catches the back half of the ball. Great touchdown.
How about John Kitna? He is Seattle's quarterback for the rest of the year. Ricky Waters added a touchdown, too, on a 4th down play, a 39-yard run for a touchdown. Patriots and the Steelers. Well, first, let's tell you about the Lions and the Jags. Look at the Jags and quarterback Jamie Martin in there because Mark Brunell out with a sprained ankle, and Martin has thrown 2 touchdowns for the Jags in that game. Indianapolis, well, Patriots and the Steelers. And in this game, 281 yards in the first half for New England, and they lead by 7 at halftime. Big touchdown pass here from Bledsoe to Glenn. And, well, Pittsburgh watches the coin toss rather carefully here.
You're going to see Drew Bledsoe find Terry Glenn break at the last minute, give a great post move, broke outside. Darren Perry, the safety, covering Terry Glenn. Are you kidding me? He can't cover Terry Glenn. That's a touchdown.
And you said it best, Brent. They've had so much yardage in this game. They could have been up by 2 or 3 touchdowns right now.
Should have been.
Right. The rest of the scores, the Colts and Peyton Manning with 2 touchdown passes, and the Falcons all tied at halftime. And the 49ers, Steve Young has thrown 2 touchdowns, and Terry Kirby on a halfback option throws another one. Meanwhile, how about the Cowboys? 69 yards in the first half. The Saints, Collins has thrown for 2 touchdowns. And the Redskins get a kickoff return from Brian Mitchell. 101-yard run back for a touchdown. And the Redskins lead by a field goal at halftime. Thanks for watching the NASDAQ Amex Halftime Report. We'll continue in just a moment.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Amex halftime report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets. Presentation of the NASDAQ Amex halftime report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
Our score at the half, the Buffalo Bills lead the Cincinnati Bengals 20-13. CBS Sports coverage will continue after a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The address is CBS Sports.
Halftime here in Cincinnati, where the Bills lead the Bengals 13. Gus Johnson along with Steve Tasker, and in the first half we had an opportunity to see a young man in Mr. Moulds that looked a little like Jerry Rice. 3 catches, 140 yards, and a touchdown.
Now, the Buffalo Bills are known to be a running team, but in the first play, actually the first play from scrimmage, Eric Moulds catches a 55-yard bomb from Doug Flutie. You see here, this is the way you want to start your team out. He just runs. There's no move. He just turns and runs. Ashley Ambrose can't stay with him. That got the Bills off to a start that put them out, helped get them to a 10-0 lead. Doug Flutie struggling at times today, but finds Eric Moulds on a quick slant, and then another supreme individual effort here as he shrugs off the tackler. This at a point when the Buffalo Bills were trailing, and gives them the lead with the big play and momentum. All swung back to Buffalo at that point.
Fans here in Cincinnati really disappointed with how the team has been playing this season. A 2-10 record. They're also disappointed with Mike Brown. Many of them saying that he's been given a lot of money to build a new stadium, but has not been spending much of that money on players, and they're scheduled to walk out when the third quarter begins.
A lot of people have threatened that they're in protest. They're going to get up at the beginning of the third quarter and just walk out. And anytime, we said this early in the first half, that when a team struggles, the fans tend to focus on one problem. Mike Brown in this case. In a lot of towns, it's the offensive coordinator. It's the play selection. In another town, it's the quarterback. We don't have that. In another town, it's the head coach. And really, if you talk to anybody in any NFL locker room, they'll tell you that any time a team struggles, it's a combination of a lot of things that conspire against you, from all the way from injuries to draft picks to things that the club itself can't control either. So I think that frustration really comes out in a lot of ways, and really to see if the fans and the problems here in Cincinnati, it's indicative of how long this franchise has struggled.
All right, let's take a look at the statistics from the first half of play. And the total yards in the favor of the Buffalo Bills, 299 yards, many of them coming from Eric Moulds, the combination of Moulds and Doug Flutie.
You see there, the stat that evens all that out, the time of possession there with Buffalo is way out in front, but the stat that evens it out for the Cincinnati Bengals is the turnovers. The 2 turnovers by Doug Flutie, one down close to a scoring opportunity, and then the other keeping the Bills from continuing on in a drive, killing a drive that they had started inside their own territory.
So Steve Christie sends it away to begin the second half of play. Eric Bieniemy back deep, standing at the 10-yard line. Make it Gibson, and Gibson from the 2, trying to go outside, and Gibson all the way to the 25-yard line. So let's see if the fans will leave. A return of 23 yards. Everybody is, from what I see, staying in their seats.
I think everybody's coming back from getting hot dogs. This is too good a game to leave. Are you kidding me? This same Buffalo Bills organization had a lot of lean years in the early 80s. And the town really was the same way. They were down on the organization, but then in the late 80s, early 90s, it turned around, and now there's a real love relationship there. The same thing could happen here in Cincinnati.
Corey Dillon running the football on first down. He'll be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Change that. Brandon Bennett with the carry. Coward with the stop.
One of the reasons that the fans have become a little bit unhappy here is because it seems to be a chronic problem. I mean, they sit at the bottom of the worst NFL records since the 90s began, since 1991. And it's just something that the fans are just becoming a little bit impatient with. It seems that they're always rebuilding, always have youth, and they'd like to have one of those teams that goes to the playoffs every year or every other year.
Marco Battaglia in motion. And it's incomplete. Ball intended for Darnay Scott once again.
Sam Cowart right all over Neil O'Donnell. He had to get rid of it. He's right there. He's talking to Darnay Scott, saying, listen, I had to get rid of it. I couldn't wait. Sam Cowart was right on my face. You see there as Cowart gets him. He says, you know what? I just had to throw it a little bit before you're ready. Don't be mad at me.
There's Sam Cowart applying the pressure. Third down and 10. The Bengals 0 for 5 on third down conversions today. O'Donnell Down the field, and it's incomplete. Intended for Stepford Williams, but broken up at the last moment by Greer.
Donovan Greer, the first-year player, 5'9", 178 pounds, getting his first chance to start in the last few weeks, really coming in on nickel plays, has played quite a bit more, had great coverage here. The receiver trying to go to the outside. Donovan Greer's already there waiting for the break, and the ball can't be caught because of his presence.
Neil O'Donnell has missed 6 of his last 7 passes. And Lee Johnson standing at the 11. Williams at the 25. Fair catch signal, and Williams goes down at the 34. 13:51 to go in the third quarter. Doug Flutie and Buffalo on offense after this.
Team USA to a remarkable victory. Now America's best battle the world's greatest golfers for the coveted President's Cup on CBS.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
Coming up next, game 2 of our doubleheader. Some of you will see Kansas City and Denver. Others will see Dan Marino and the Dolphins take on the Raiders. First down and 10 from the 34-yard line for the Bills. Antoine Smith running over the right side, and he gets maybe 3 yards on the play. James Francis on the tackle.
This is why this game is so important to the Buffalo Bills. You see the standings here, trailing by a game in the schedules. Buffalo plays the Jets, and that's going to be, and Seattle is actually leading the Jets right now. But also New England's leading. It's just a train wreck right at the top of the standings, and it's going to have to flesh out over the next 4 weeks.
Second down and 7 yards to go from the 37. Flutie holds again, and that's the same pattern he caught the touchdown on, and he gets to the 50-yard line. Sam Shade with the tackle.
Eric Moulds is so physical. He's so explosive. He gets such separation in such a short time. He presses and threatens Artrell Hawkins with the deep route. Artrell Hawkins has to back up a step. When he backs up, Eric Moulds breaks to the inside, and there's a huge amount of separation on such a short route.
On a big day for Eric Moulds. 4 catches, 155 yards. Gained 15 on the last play. Antoine Smith looking for room outside. Chopped down, though, by the rookie Artrell Hawkins, who played collegiately at the University of Cincinnati.
One of the reasons Artrell Hawkins has the opportunity to make this play is Greg Myers coming in on the blitz, forcing Antoine Smith to stop in the backfield and change directions. Artrell Hawkins going in low on the big guy, Antoine Smith, making that tackle. Artrell Hawkins has started the entire year as a rookie, and that says something about a guy. I think his athletic ability has really carried him through the year.
Second and 8. Flutie again. And it's caught by Moulds, breaks the tackle, picks up the first down right in front of Thomas Randolph. So what do you do if you're a defense when you have a guy like Moulds that's eating you up play after play?
You start double teaming him, there's no question about it, and it's really been a long time since anybody playing the Buffalo Bills have been able to double team anybody but Andre Reed. Eric Moulds, the kind of year he's having, watch, he's got 25 yards or more on 14 plays, and that's updated with today's 2 catches, trailing only Randy Moss and tied with Ed McCaffrey. That's in the National Football League. He has meant a lot to this offense.
From the 35-yard line, Flutie again looking. And it's incomplete. Ball intended for Remersma. James Francis, the linebacker, dropped off into pass coverage. Chat live with Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino this Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on America Online at keyword Team NFL and on the web at www.nfl.com. Second down, 10 yards to go for Buffalo from the Cincinnati 35. Their first offensive drive of the second half of play. The 25-yard line is where the first down marker stands. Doug Flutie underneath, Reed with the catch. Ashley Ambrose with the tackle, and Flutie took a huge hit on the release.
And some of the things that you think about when you just see Doug Flutie play is just the fact that he's so small. How many of these can he take? But you got to remember, the guy's been playing professional football for 14 years. And he's used to taking hits like that. It's not something that he's unaccustomed to. The guy's got some years under his belt, and he wouldn't be playing now if he wasn't able to take some contact.
Basically a $250,000 insurance policy by the Bills. Is not expected to not only start, but even be the #2 quarterback on this team. Incomplete. Intended for Andre Reed. But with incentives, Doug Flutie, by the end of the season, could make between $2 and $3 million.
That's right. And believe me, the way he's playing, he deserves every cent of it. But you're right. They paid him a couple of $100,000 as an insurance policy. But I'll tell you what, an insurance policy against that guy right there going down, which is exactly what happened. Rob Johnson getting injured early in the year. Doug Flutie coming in.
46-yard attempt by Christie. And it's good. 10:38 remaining in the third quarter, 23-13.
Hell on CBS is sponsored by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. Staples, the office superstore. And by Domino's, delivering 1 million smiles a day.
10 minutes and 38 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Buffalo leads at 23-13. Tremaine Mack, who is their normal kick returner, has entered Clermont County Jail on Wednesday for violating probation. Therefore, Brandon Bennett and Eric Bieniemy have to return kicks for the Bengals. And Tremaine Mack had accounted for 45 of Cincinnati's 50 kickoffs on the season. Monday on CBS, have you ever been trapped on a blind date with no end in sight? That's what happens to Ted Danson in the new hit comedy Becker, Monday on CBS. So Neil O'Donnell back under center at the 20-yard line. His team down 23-13. O'Donnell. Darnay Scott spins out of bounds at the 28. Stopped by Kenny Irvin.
The head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, Bruce Cosley, you know, when you got a team that's been struggling, we asked him, you know, who do you talk to? And he gave us, well, I got some friends in California. We didn't. We tried to pry it out of him who those friends were. And after this play, we'll give you a story about who Bruce Cosley goes to for some advice.
This time it's Corey Dillon up to the 30, make it the 31-yard line, and the first down. Joe Cummings with the tackle.
Bruce Cosley told us after we had spoken with him that, you know, he kept mentioning coaches that he had looked up to, and we found out that he speaks to Coach
Bill Walsh
weekly or regularly, and Bill Walsh tells him, you know, gives him advice, and Bruce Cosley, one of the guys that is in that sort of coaching circle in here in the NFL. The league is not that large, and all those guys know each other, and it really, really has helped him in his relationship with Bill Walsh.
He started his NFL career with Walsh and the 49ers. Milne with the catch out of the backfield. As a matter of fact, Bill Walsh used to coach him right here in Cincinnati. Ken Irvin with the tackle. There's Coach Cosley. When we talked to him and asked him if his job was secure for next year, he said that he and Mike Brown never discussed things like that.
He said that's normal. They never discuss it in any other year. They didn't discuss it this year. And after the season, I'm sure it'll be a topic of conversation.
And he seemed really relaxed when we talked to him. There's Mike Brown. 2nd and 8 from the 32. Darnay Scott, the motion man. O'Donnell. And he's crunched. Sam Rogers. 3rd sack of the day for Buffalo. And Neil O'Donnell has yet to get up.
This is one of the types of sacks that kind of frustrate, I think, Bruce Cosley. He said Neil O'Donnell is just too hesitant to throw the football down the field. You see there, he starts to throw it and then pulls it down. You'll see here right before he gets hit, He looks like he's going to let it go right there and then pulls it down and takes the sack. And that's frustrating for an offense because a bad play means you got to come up with bigger plays later on to make up for it.
Now makes it 3rd and 15 from the 25. The first down marker at the 40. O'Donnell stepping up down the field and triple coverage. And he's lucky that that ball wasn't picked off. Thomas Smith had 2 hands on it but couldn't haul it in.
Thomas Smith, Henry Jones, Eric Smedley all climbing up the back of Carl Pickens. That ball was thrown into a crowd. That was not a good offensive series for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Lee Johnson's 7th punt of the game at the 10. And Kevin Williams back deep at the 25. Low snap handled by Johnson. High spiraling kick from the 21. Williams all the way up to the 44-yard line. Billy Granville with the special teams tackle.
Evan Petty calls it hot, deliciously hot. Rob DeMars raves, it's spontaneous consumption. It's a story of heat and redemption. From the creators of the Domino's Heat Wave.
Have fun on Sundays, baby.
Sunday's fun day, baby.
Sunday's fun day.
Hey, let's get this thing going today, man.
The Great American Race, the Daytona 500, only on CBS Sports.
7:47 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Buffalo leading it 23-13.
That's the quarterback coach for the Buffalo Bills, Turk Schonert, right there. Played for the Cincinnati Bengals the last time the Buffalo Bills were in this stadium in that championship game in 1988.
Handoff, Antoine Smith over the 45-yard line up to the 47. Let's take a look back at the 1988 AFC Championship game, which was dominated by the Bengals defense. Cincinnati held Buffalo to just 2 first downs in the second half. Ickey Woods, though, led the Bengals offensive charge, scoring twice from the 1-yard line, and Sam Wyche's Bengals won it 21-10, and they were Super Bowl bound. Where were you, Steve? You didn't come up with any big plays.
Nope, I did not come up with any big plays in that game. Neither did Turk Schonert, though. I got that on.
2nd and 6 from the 48. Thurman Thomas up to the 50-yard line. Now let's go to New York, where Jim Nantz is standing by.
Peyton Manning and the Colts led 21-7 before tied up at halftime at 21. First play of the 3rd quarter, Ray Buchanan picks off Manning, sets up a Chandler touchdown, and Atlanta scored 21 unanswered. Let's go back to you.
All right, Jim, can you believe Indianapolis 10-0 against Atlanta?
That's amazing, and that's a team that has really emerged offensively there behind Peyton Manning. They could be difficult to contend with next year.
3rd down and 3 from the 49. Flutie, Reed, first down. Thomas Randolph with the tackle.
Once again, you see the Buffalo Bills spreading out the football field, putting Doug Flutie in the backfield by himself. Andre Reed on the outside, Eric Moulds on the inside. Andre Reed comes right in under the space vacated by Moulds just for the quick, easy first down. It's an effective play when you spread the football field out and you've got wide receivers that are fast and explosive. As soon as the ball's snapped, the defense has to give a little bit of ground.
Andre Reed, 6 catches, 49 yards. First down from the 43. Antoine Smith with the blocker in front of him. Raynard Wilson and Brian Simmons in on the tackle. Also Takeo Spikes.
You can feel now how the time of possession is starting to take effect in this game. The Buffalo Bills, it seems like they've got the football all the time, and Cincinnati has had trouble getting first downs. They've punted the football back, and every time Buffalo has got it, they rarely go 3 and out. They always make some first downs and hang on to the football.
2nd down and 7 from the 40. They need to get to the 33-yard line for first. Flutie, slant again, Moulds dropped it. They say it is not a catch. It is not a catch for Molds. Would have been a first down. Now, that was just as good a catch as Carl Pickens' touchdown in the end zone.
Well, it may have been.
I thought he had that long enough.
As we get a look at it again, Eric Molds coming on that slant route that they've run a couple of times this game. There's the ball. I do not think that was a catch.
All right.
I do.
Maybe you're right. We're not going to fight today.
Maybe you're right. All right. Yeah. That kills you to say that, too.
Yes, it does. 3rd down and 7 from the 40. They need to get to the 33 for a first. 3-receiver package. Herman Thomas in the backfield with Flutie. Flutie, Reed, boy, he put that ball on the money. First down at the 20-yard line. And to be 5 feet 9 inches, this guy throws the football like he's 6'3".
Doug Flutie has got some rocket fuel in his right arm. The guy, it really is the most surprising thing about Doug Flutie when you see him practice in person is the strength of his arm. Andre Reed has been running routes like that for 14 years in the National Football League. He may go to the Hall of Fame running a hook route like this and then making a guy miss and getting extra yards. There's never been anybody like Andre Reed who can run a route like that and make it something.
So Doug Flutie, 17 of 26, 289 yards. Passing again, Flutie, and it's incomplete, intended for Williams. Ashley Ambrose defensively for Cincinnati, and that was kind of a dangerous throw as Williams had squatted down, and there were a lot of black jerseys around him.
Flutie, you know, the strength in the arm we just talked about, he thinks he can get it in there. You think with the receivers he's throwing to in there, he threw to Kevin Williams, but Andre Reed on the other side, a guy who's really going to go down in the history books. You look here, this is career reception in the history of the league. That's some lofty company, and Andre Reed is right up there, and he and Jerry Rice are the only two active. Art Monk retired a few years ago.
Thurman Thomas breaks it back, and Thurman Thomas to the 17-yard line. Takeo spikes in on the play, and Simmons.
For a lot of people watching this, who have watched this Buffalo Bill team over the years, there's so many familiar faces when you see Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas and Bruce Smith. It's like watching some guys it's like watching Johnny Carson. You've seen him on for years and years. These guys never go away. They just keep hanging on and hanging on. You keep waiting for them to come out with an anniversary issue.
3rd down and 7 from the 17. They need to get to the 10. Flutie. Right there. Incomplete. First drop pass of the day for Molds, and that ball may have had a little too much mustard on it from Flutie.
One thing you've got to tip your hat to the Cincinnati Bengals. They have forced the Bills into kicking field goals. They gave up the one long touchdown and a short 1-yard touchdown run after a long pass, but they have really forced the Buffalo Bills to settle for 3 points and at least give their offense a chance to recover.
This a 34-yard attempt for Christie. It's up and good. Steve Christie good on 53, 46, 34, and 20.
Earlier on the NFL Today.
Win or lose, criticize me or love me, I'm going to be the quarterback for the Patriots.
The only way to rectify the situation is instant replay.
The morale in the National Football League officiating staff is at an all-time low.
That's the only job I know of where you get part-time money for full-time abuse.
For all the latest on the NFL, watch the NFL Today. Sunday at noon Eastern on CBS.
A late husband's diary reveals a hidden past. Was there another woman?
I need to know.
What this family finds will make a wish come true. The Christmas Wish, CBS tonight.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by DirecTV. What are you looking at? And by Canon. So advanced, it's simple.
26-13, and I guess that tells the story here in Cincinnati about how the fans, or some of the fans, feel about the Bengals' 2-10 season. Oh, he took his mask off. Can't do that. He caught it.
For posterity.
Christie. And from the goal line, Damon Gibson. Gibson over the 20, goes down hard, at the 23-yard line, a return of 23 yards. Mark Pike, the special teams ace, with the tackle. Next weekend, beginning Saturday at 1 Eastern, CBS Sports goes to the land down under for coverage of the President's Cup. Jack Nicklaus skippers the U.S. team, spearheaded by Mark O'Meara, Tiger Woods, and David Duval, while the international team sports the likes of Greg Norman, Nick Price, and Vijay Singh. Final round coverage tees off Sunday at 4 Eastern. Corey Dillon spins over the 30 and is dropped at the 32-yard line. Corey Dillon played collegiately at the University of Washington. Prior to that, 2 years at a junior college. Left Washington early, and coming out of high school, he didn't know what he really wanted to do, so his mom got him off the couch, and he got a job as a janitor.
Yeah.
Cleaning up stalls and stuff.
Excuse me, he actually was drafted by the Padres, and just kind of, but he said he just kind of dabbled in baseball.
Here's Dillon. So anyway, he got a job as a janitor and didn't like working as a janitor, and from there he said, well, I guess school isn't too bad, so let me go to Utah and go to Dixie Junior College.
And you can tell a guy like, as we see the penalty being walked off here.
Offside, 55 defense, 5 yards by measurement, first down.
That's Corey, and we talked to him a couple of days ago, and what a nice young man. Stopped talking to him to the media for most of the season here because he said he was being misquoted. And he is over 1,000 yards for the season. Came in with 988. First and 10 from the 37-yard line. Pickens with the catch, and Schultz just climbs all over him at the 40-yard line. Seattle really playing great football against the Jets right now at the Meadowlands.
New England staying ahead of Pittsburgh there. That's something that the AFC East is in such turmoil right now. There's nobody who has emerged and taken it away from anybody. And all these teams are playing a little bit of scoreboard football today.
Keeping an eye on the scoreboard. 2nd and 5. O'Donnell looking incomplete. Carl Pickens, the intended receiver. That'll bring up 3rd down and 5 yards to go. Neil O'Donnell frustrated, and he was frustrated in our meeting yesterday.
Yeah, you can see it's written all over his face. He wants to play well. He knows what he's capable of. He's a pure pocket passer. So one of the things that the Bengals don't do very much is roll him out and move him around. And when he stands in the pocket, he knows he's going to take some shots once in a while. And what he wants is just get somebody open, let me get it down the field.
3rd down and 5 from the 42. Slant pattern, Scott with the catch. 1st down at the 39. Kurt Schultz with the tackle, but it's a gain of 18.
When O'Donnell had time to get the ball out there, Darnay Scott and Carl Pickens have really come through for him. You see here the crossing route, catches the football. These guys are a couple of great receivers, and really we spoke to Bruce Kozler. They've taken some heat in Cincinnati for passing on the wide receiver from Minnesota, Randy Moss, twice. But in actuality, they've already got 2 good wide receivers, and they needed help elsewhere.
On the defensive end, they took Spikes and Simmons, the 2 linebackers. Underneath, and it's complete. Tony McGee, rather Marco Battaglia with the reception. Here's Jim Nantz.
All right, Gus, right after a Seattle run back for a touchdown off of Vinny Testaverde interception, the Jets drive right back, and Curtis Martin gets in on 3rd and goal, but they fail on the 2-point try, so they're down 9. The Jets at home, down 9. Let's go back to Gus.
All right, Jim, what a job the Jets have been doing this season, but the Jets and the Buffalo Bills and the Dolphins and the Patriots, a log jam up top of the AFC East. O'Donnell, the enemy with the catch, and jitterbugs to the 26. Eric Bieniemy, very good out of the backfield this season.
Eric Bieniemy is a guy who can really relate to a guy like Doug Flutie. Eric Bieniemy, 5'7", and he said in reports this week that, you know, he loves Doug Flutie because even like Douglas Flutie, you always have to prove it again and again and again. And every time something bad goes happen, all of a sudden, all the good stuff you did, you're too short. Nothing else matters. And Eric Bieniemy really had to tip his hat today in the papers to Doug Flutie and the success that he's had.
And that's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Bills lead the Bengals 26-13. We'll return to Synergy Field after this message and a word from your local station.
Why is Ray hanging out at his brother's new bachelor pad?
You haven't actually gone out with any of these women, have you? And if you have, please talk slow.
And Ernie Raymond, CBS Monday.
Learn the secrets of martial arts star Sammo Hung. Log on to CBS.com.
Check this out. Stuff goes there. Friends pile in here. You grab this. 132 horses go here. To take you and 4 of your friends here, there, anywhere. They'll think you're cool, but we'll know you're smart.
The Bengals had a nice second quarter, but Buffalo has come back. Corey Dillon over the right side, and Dillon pushing the pile forward, gets to the 23. Cummings with the stop.
You talk about the AFC East standings and how important it is for these teams to win so they can get to the playoffs. There are guys in the locker room. You see this guy Randy Ribick and the equipment guys and the medical staff, they all get full playoff shares. And these guys live in the locker room day to day. You see here's Bud Carpenter, the head trainer. All those guys, they could almost double their salaries with playoff shares if this team can continue to win. You know those guys are cheering for the Bills.
They started 0-3. Pickens fumbles it. Picked up, Sam Cowart. And Sam Cowart up to the 41-yard line. And look at Woody. It's going to be a good Christmas.
You'll see here, Carl Pickens tips the ball and is batted away. Bad things happen when you don't pull it in right away.
Andre Reed icing down his knee. Buffalo leading at 26-13. Also, Reuben Brown, their starting left guard, has an injured pectoral muscle. He will not return. First down and 10 for the Bills from their own 41. Antoine Smith with the big opening. Breaks it back. Smith getting outside, and Smith is pushed out of bounds by Sam Shade. A 28-yard gain.
This is just great blocking right up front of the point of attack. Antoine Smith hitting the hole is in a dead line. You'll see here, everybody's just washed to the inside. Brian Simmons overruns the play. Antoine Smith doesn't have to make a move until he's already gained 10 yards. And then with the stiff arm and the speed, puts it out inside the 35-yard line.
Antoine Smith, last week against New England, 58 yards on 21 carries. He's got 76 yards rushing today.
Right here, right here.
First down from the Cincinnati 31. Smith again. No room this time, though, at the line of scrimmage. He'll be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. And Andre Reed, he has a bruised knee, and just icing him down. Keeping him out for precautionary measures.
At this point of the season, when you're up by 2 scores, there's no reason to put one of your main guys on offense in harm's way unless you absolutely have to. It's best to be conservative at this point and give him the rest of the afternoon off.
Second and 10 from the 31. Herman Thomas wrapped up in the backfield. Andre Purvis, Raynard Wilson with the tackle. These guys still playing hard, this Bengals defense. And that's one thing that Bruce Coslet told us, that they play hard, they practice hard, they study hard, they lift hard.
He says he's been looking around, going to the locker room, waiting for signs that guys have given up, guys sleeping in meetings, guys not working out extra, not doing the little things that they should as professionals. And you know what? He said, I have not seen anything that tells me that they have given up.
Third down and 9 from the 30. First down marker at the 21.5. Flutie under pressure. Lifts it into the end zone. Touchdown. It's almost like he shot put that one into the end zone.
Buffalo may have gotten away with one. Doug Flutie might have been a yard past the line of scrimmage when he released that. When you run so well as a quarterback, when you threaten the line of scrimmage, the defense breaks on you. And they leave Eric Moulds wide open, as you watch here. Watch, the line of scrimmage is the 30-yard line exactly. And watch as they just forget about Eric Moulds as they break up to cover Flutie when he tucks it and runs.
Extra point is good. Moulds now 6 catches, 196 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 33-13. Boy, has it gotten bad here in Cincinnati. Even the little Bengal wears a paper bag nowadays.
Here's the touchdown. Here's the line of scrimmage. And you'll watch the defensive backs break forward, and they leave Eric Moulds all by himself behind the defense. And that's the touchdown.
Brandon Bennett over the 25 up to the 27-yard line. A 20-yard return. 12:02 remaining in the fourth quarter. Buffalo up big.
Non-stop, it sweat drops like get gasoline dripping. Oh my goodness, we're on a bus with no brakes. Mama, both hands on the horn, both feet on the gas. Don't blink. Bus is already gone, like a bus with no brakes. 2-2, yeah, beep beep. 2-2, yeah, beep beep.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the new 1999 TL. Luxury, performance, pick 2. Wendy's new Steakhouse Bacon Cheeseburger. And by Dollar Rent-A-Car. Dollar makes sense.
They've started to hit the exits with 12:02 remaining in the fourth quarter. The Bengals down 33-13. Wow. Some very creative and pretty rough fans in Cincinnati. 1st and 10 from the 28. Corey Dillon hangs on to it. Dillon, and he gets out of bounds.
They're going to take a loss on that play. Corey Dillon caught that ball and bobbled it for a moment, and then by the time he had possession of it, he couldn't get up the football field and get back to the line of scrimmage. And that with the speed of today's defense of the National Football League, both on the Cincinnati side and the Buffalo side, one bobble and one misstep, and those defenders pursue so fast and so hard, it's really difficult to recover.
2nd down and 13 from the 25. Neil O'Donnell passing. Over the middle, caught. Dillon still running, and Dillon to the 30. Corey Dillon tackled by Thomas Smith. And a good run by the tailback.
One of the things that happens when you struggle, people start early in the season, start talking about where you're going to draft in the next year's draft. Cincinnati sits below Carolina, and obviously the Cleveland franchise, who's getting back into the game, is going to pick first, no matter how the other teams do.
And Bruce Coslett told us that, if you take a look at Mike Brown, that they are looking for a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman, preferably an offensive lineman. And the catch is made. Darnay Scott once again, and the top prospects on the offensive line, Matt Stinchcomb from Georgia or Aaron Gibson from Wisconsin. Defensively, Tom Burke from Wisconsin. Also,
I asked Bruce Coslett, I said, do you sometimes get snake bitten by a chance when you want to take an offensive lineman and sometimes there are no good or quality or franchise type of offensive lineman there, or perhaps the same with a wide receiver? He said, yeah, that does happen sometimes, but more importantly, it's just a matter of picking the guy that will fit into your organization.
O'Donnell again throwing the football. Up top, and it's incomplete. Intended for Stepford Williams, and Williams had it but couldn't hold on. Neil O'Donnell gets up a little shaky.
As he got rid of the football, he's feeling pressure from right up the middle, right there. Pat Williams, right in O'Donnell's feet, right on his right arm there as you see him grab it and get up. And so many times you see a quarterback and they don't really get up from that. They kind of just climb to their feet. And you can tell it just takes a moment. They shrug it off, and now O'Donnell's going to stay in and probably drop back and throw it again.
And I think they're worried about Neil O'Donnell. So he steps to the sideline. 10:04 to go in the fourth quarter. 33-13 Buffalo.
Where do you see the rate Dollar gave me on the convertible? Sorry.
With great rates right at the airport, it's no wonder so many vacations start at Dollar.
I believe this is my stop.
Welcome to Dollar, sir.
Off to the beach. Where your vacation ends up, however, is another story.
Well, we're here.
Dollar makes sense.
This is a message for Tom Keene, card member since '91. Last year, you visited all the high churches of golf. You equipped yourself with the finest gear money can buy. And you shot 145 every time you went out. Fortunately, by paying for all this with your American Express card, you earned enough membership rewards points to get some lessons. Yet another reason to do more with the American Express card.
In 1984, two computer scientists envisioned the impossible, a seamless network of computer networks. They invented the router, and Cisco Systems was born. Today, virtually all internet traffic travels across Cisco equipment, now directing millions of messages a day. And Cisco will be there as web users soar to over 300 million by the year 2002. Where do you learn about companies so integrated into the future? Exactly. NASDAQ Amex, the market of markets.
Monday, a doctor's pregnancy
I'm so happy about this baby.
becomes a medical emergency.
Call an ambulance.
Now she'll face a decision
You're putting your life at risk. I know exactly the risk that I'm taking.
no woman should have to make.
What?
On an all-new LA Doctors CBS Monday.
Neil O'Donnell on the sidelines now. Jeff Blake has replaced him at quarterback. Second and 10 from the 46. Blake passing under pressure, got it away and incomplete. Intended for Dillon. No fun for Jeff Blake. That's because Wayne Simmons, the former Kansas City Chief, shot the gap and was in his face.
Jeff Blake is a former Pro Bowl quarterback, has great mobility and a strong arm. One of the knocks has been that he doesn't throw the short ball well. And even here in Cincinnati, they say perhaps it's because he's too short. And I think if you look across the football field, that's kind of tough a tough sell when you got Doug Flutie on the other side of the ball, throwing the ball all over the place.
Third down and 10 from the 46. Blake steps up. Pickens with the catch and running room. Carl Pickens down to the 22. Schultz with the tackle. And those two very familiar with each other. When Blake was a starter, Pickens was his favorite target.
Now they both made each other excellent players. They had some great years together here. Just a few years ago, they know each other very well, have played very well together in this football league. Carl Pickens already having a good day, and sometimes due to an injury, you get the spark you need from your backup quarterback without having a choice.
Pickens 7 catches, 86 yards. He has a touchdown from the Buffalo 23. Dillon gets outside. Corey Dillon, and he's out of bounds at the 13. Kurt Schultz pushes him out of bounds. Neil O'Donnell, he has a bruised hand, and his return is probable. Right on his throwing hand, the top of the hand.
That happens so many times as you follow through after your hand releases the ball, it flips down towards the ground, and the back of your hand is exposed to the defender as they charge towards you with their head down, and it invariably hits the face mask or the hard surface of the helmet.
Second down and 1 from the 13. Darnay Scott in motion. Inside handoff, Milne, and he picks up the first down. Now Monday on CBS, Raymond's brother just moved into a swinging bachelor pad, and guess who's green with envy? Ray Romano stars in an all-new episode of Monday night's #1 comedy, Everybody Loves Raymond, Monday on CBS. First down for Cincinnati from the Buffalo 11-yard line. Corey Dillon Milne in the backfield. In the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Pickens. Ken Irvin right there.
And the more you see this offense under Jeff Blake, and we've already said that Neil O'Donnell's return is probable. With every successful throw that Jeff Blake makes, his return becomes less probable in a game of this nature. Bruce Coslin may just be of a mind to say, you know what? Let's just let it ride with Jeff Blake, no matter how Neil feels right at this point.
The Bengals' red zone numbers today. 2 touchdowns when they've gotten this close. Play action, Blake. And Blake crunched in the backfield. Pat Williams with the sack.
One of the things about the Buffalo defense is it's got a lot of speed and some youth. The guys are high energy. Gabe Northern and Pat Williams, both young guys, just stay with it and are relentless, and they converge on Jeff Blake at the same time. Speed is a commodity that you can't get enough of in the National Football League. And you see there, Pat Williams is a big guy, but for a nose tackle and for an offensive lineman working up there inside, he is a fast and quick rush guy.
There was Gabe Northern. 3rd down, 14 from the 15. Flags on the play. Bieniemy with the catch, and Eric Bieniemy stopped by Smedley at the 7-yard line.
They're going to get an opportunity to have 3rd down over again. This is 4-down territory now. This 3rd and 15 there. It'll probably be 3rd and 10, and they'll take 2 shots at the end zone. They're not going to worry about a field goal in this situation. Still waiting for the explanation.
Offside, 91 defense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
Sean Price offsides. Not a lot of flags in this game.
No, it's been a very cleanly played game.
So the Bengals with 3rd down and 9 from the 10. Blake throwing. Jeff Blake goes down again. And once again, it's Pat Williams. The 5th sack of the day for the Bills.
Pat Williams, if I'm not mistaken, has 3 sacks, and they all seem to have come in this last series. You'll watch him here coming right up the middle. And Jeff Blake steps up. Pat Williams just bulls his way in. And there's just nowhere for Jeff Blake to step up and throw to.
So they have decided, the Bengals, to go for it on 4th down. They need to get to the 1-yard line for a 1st down. With 6:33 to go, trailing 33-13. Carl Pickens, Darnay Scott to the near side, and a timeout called by Blake. 6:25 remaining in the 4th quarter. 33-13 Buffalo.
Win or lose, criticize me or love me, I'm going to be the quarterback for the Patriots.
The only way to rectify the situation is instant replay.
The morale in the National Football League officiating staff is at an all-time low.
That's the only job I know of where you get part-time money for full-time abuse.
For all the latest on the NFL, watch the NFL Today. Sunday at noon Eastern on CBS. And now the Late Show question of the week.
Have you ever tasted Ben Gay?
No way. Ben Gay?
It's kind of minty.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by American Honda, a winning lineup of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans, and by 3Com US Robotics.
Bengals have decided to go for it on 4th and 14 from their own 15-yard line. Jeff Blake in for Neil O'Donnell, who has a bruised throwing hand. Here's Blake. Steps up, Blake running. Jeff Blake tackled from behind. Guess who? Pat Williams. Pat Williams with 2 sacks on this drive, and then a big tackle on 4th down.
Watch here. This is Pat Williams coming in. He'll go around and just chase him down as Jeff Blake pulls the ball down. Pat Williams will just stay in pursuit as Jeff Blake runs forward. Pat Williams tackles him from behind, and the Buffalo Bills take over on downs. Bruce Coslett deflated, knowing 4th and 15 is a tough one to convert, but it's even worse. Yeah, you got to throw it. He's throwing it. He says you got to throw it, Jeff Blake.
And the crowd leaving more and more by the minute. Doug Flutie still in the game, and this time he gives it to the fullback, Jonathan Linton, who backs up Sam Gash. Now let's go to Jim Nantz in New York.
All right, Gus and Steve, Buffalo could find itself even with the Jets by day's end if the Jets lose here, but they're coming back. Keyshawn Johnson hauls it in for the touchdown, and they're down 5 with 10:42 to go. Let's go back now to Gus and Steve.
All right, the Jets seeking their 6th consecutive home victory for the first time since 1985, but Seattle giving them all they can handle right now.
There's a thriller going on in the Meadowlands right now.
2nd down and 2 from the 18-yard line for the Bills. And once again, it's Linton. Now tonight on CBS, critics are calling The Christmas Wish a contemporary twist on It's a Wonderful Life. Debbie Reynolds and Neil Patrick Harris star in the CBS Sunday movie The Christmas Wish tonight on CBS. Now it's Christmas time in the Tasker household. I imagine it's going nuts. 5 kids.
Yeah, we do gear up.
Santa's getting ready to make that big trip.
Yes, we get geared up.
1st and 10 from the 22. Linton breaks it back to the 25. Jonathan Linton, the rookie from North Carolina, tackled by Simmons, his teammate in college at North Carolina. 4:40 to go in the 4th quarter. Buffalo leading it 33-13. They are trying to improve to 8-5 on the season.
One of the things is you look at Synergy Field here, it's amazing that this is going to be one of the stadiums as a casualty of a new stadium here in Cincinnati. Paul Brown Field is going to be built, and the Bengals will move there in the year 2000.
2nd and 6 from the 26. Linton. And Jonathan Linton tackled from behind by Adrian Ross. And the new Paul Brown Stadium already under construction.
Way to work in here, man. Way to work.
And it's going to be one of the state-of-the-art new stadiums that are popping up around the NFL. And we've done some games in both types of stadiums, and I like the new ones better, I think.
Yeah. You know what I like? I tell you what, named after that man's father. That's Mike Brown, the president and GM of the Bengals, who's been criticized the entire season for the way the team is being run. Flutie dumps it off, and it's picked off. Intercepted at the 25-yard line. John Copeland with the interception.
Adrian Ross coming off the side of the formation. Doug Flutie fakes the pass. Adrian Ross goes right for Flutie, or fakes the handoff. You'll see here Adrian Ross coming right off the corner as Flutie turns around, faces him, tries to throw it quick. Ross just gets a hand on it, and it flips right into the arms.
And Copeland comes back after suffering an Achilles injury. April of last year, he played his first game back last week against Jacksonville. So the Bengals have it at the Buffalo 24. Blake, and Blake is sacked again. Pat Williams. Ha ha! 3 sacks by Pat Williams.
Pat Williams is going to eat the same thing for breakfast every week. He comes from right over the center. You'll watch his working against Derek Brills. He just stays after it. Jeff Blake breaks contain, and Pat Williams should make sure that the defensive backfield for the Buffalo Bills all get a pat on the back because he's getting all kinds of time to rush the passer.
And he's the backup to Ted Washington. Ted Washington is probably like, get me in the game. Blake again, under pressure, got it away, and it's caught. Carl Pickens with the reception.
The way things have gone for Cincinnati up front, we really said in the beginning, they're starting 2 inexperienced guards, and the weakness of the offense seems to be right now coming right up the middle. Pat Williams, and also, if you remember, Ted Washington had a sack on the first play from scrimmage for the Cincinnati Bengals. He sacked Neil O'Donnell. So the pressure is coming from right over the center and the guards for the Buffalo Bills.
3rd down and 3 from the 12. Milne out of the backfield in motion. The enemy short of the 1st down. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to go here in Cincinnati. 33-13 Buffalo.
Here on business, sir?
Yep, all business. With low rates from Dollar right at the airport, you may be tempted to add some leisure time to your next business trip.
In for a grim year, my friends. Yes.
33-13, Buffalo leading Cincinnati. 4th quarter, 2 minutes to go. Now tonight on CBS, don't forget to catch 60 Minutes. And that will be followed by Touched by an Angel. And then the CBS Sunday movie, The Christmas Wish. That is all tonight on CBS. 4th down and 1 for the Bengals from the 15. They pitch it, Bieniemy with the 1st down, running room inside the 10. Schultz and Donovan Greer with the tackle. A gain of 6 yards. So a win here today for the Buffalo Bills puts them in good shape. They head back home where they take on Oakland and the Jets. Oakland playing Miami today at home. And finally, they wrap up the season at New Orleans. New Orleans taking on the Cowboys today. Blake trips, dropping back, and he finds his receiver. Caught by Marco Battaglia, who's pushed out of bounds by Schultz.
One of the things Wade Phillips told us that he had told the Buffalo Bills was that, you know, guys, we got to win this game because this will put us into a position to control and make sure we control our own destiny. We don't want to ask for any help. We want to make sure that we're going to get a chance to play for the playoffs if we can win today, and that's what's going to happen over the next 3 weeks for the Buffalo Bills.
A minute 50 to go. 2nd down, goal to go from the 6-yard line. Flags on the play. Corey Dillon running. Dillon swarmed under inside the 5-yard line. Bruce Smith in on the play, but there is a flag.
Buffalo Bills jumping off sides. You can't blame them trying to get more and more sacks, more and more big plays here in the waning moments of this game. When things go well, you just get a little bit eager.
Offside, 99 defense, half the distance to the goal. Repeat 2nd down.
Now, assuming the Bills win this game with 1:46 to go, take a look. Buffalo will improve to 8-5. The Jets, right now, they trail by 5 points with 7.5 minutes left at home to Seattle. And New England leading on the road in Pittsburgh with 6.5 minutes to go. Here's Dillon, and he gets in. 3-yard run for Corey Dillon. With 1 minute and 42 seconds to go here in the 4th quarter of play.
After all that's been said about the Cincinnati fans and the relationship between the team and the city, there are still a lot of faithful here ready to cheer for Corey Dillon as he goes over. And you can see here it's a great individual effort. He just lunges for the goal line.
Extra point is good. Corey Dillon, 11 carries, 43 yards today. At 100 yards rushing, 107 yards rushing last week against Jacksonville. Now don't forget, coming up next, the NFL Today post-game show. Jim, Marcus, Brent, and Michael Lombardi, plus scores and highlights. Following that, the second game of our doubleheader. Denver at 12-0 can become the third team in NFL history to advance to 13-0 with a victory over Kansas City. But it's been upset. It's been an upset weekend in sports. If you looked at college football, as Jim Nantz told us today, if you looked at college football yesterday, Miami and Kansas State, the two undefeated college teams, both losing. Tennessee did win. And also in basketball, the University of North Carolina lost to the College of Charleston. And what a big win for them. And Carolina was undefeated. So can Kansas City do it to those Denver Broncos?
Well, I don't know. But, you know, you got to think maybe it is this warm weather late in December that's making all these crazy things happen. But the undefeated teams took it on the chin yesterday, not only in football, but also in basketball. And they're obviously going to go for the onside kick here.
And a whistle.
The official probably had not signaled ready for play before Doug Pelfrey onsided that ball.
So they line it up and do it again. Pelfrey.
This is one of those plays you practice once a week.
Back up, guys, back up.
Maybe, and it's never full speed.
A lot of ugly collisions on these kinds of plays. And it's recovered. Henry Jones caught it on a big bounce, and that's where the Bills will begin. The executive producer of CBS Sports is Terry Ewert. Today's game was produced by Bob Monsbach. The director was Mark Grant. And the senior producer of CBS Sports is Eric Mann. The NFL Today was directed by Bob Matina. The associate director of today's game is Sean Robbins. The broadcast associate is Jeff St. Aramon, and the statistician Rusta Lynn, and spotter Brian McCann. Ted Washington looking on. He's the normal nose guard. Pat Williams is back up, really playing great football. So Doug Flutie takes the knee. And once again, let's take a look at the division leaders.
These are the teams that are at the top right now, and obviously, as we've said time and time again, in the AFC East, it's a tie, and this is the wild card, and Buffalo now will have 8. And all these teams, even these teams, Tennessee and Seattle, all those teams are in it and can make a run for the playoffs depending on how it all shakes down in the next couple of weeks.
Next week, the Bills taking on Oakland at home, followed by the Jets.
I think it's one of the great things about the National Football League, Gus, is that we're into week 14 of the season, in the home stretch, really. And there are a lot of teams that have a good shot at making the playoffs. They're not just close to being mathematically eliminated. They have a shot at making the playoffs, and a lot of them actually control their own destiny. I guess that makes me a football guy, but I like the NFL better than the other.
I think you like it. 13 years. And you can stand to watch a couple of games from time to time. So the final play of the game, Doug Flutie takes a knee, and the Buffalo Bills have come into Cincinnati and knocked off the Bengals. They improved to 8-5. Doug Flutie, 18 of 30, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But Eric Moulds, what a game receiving. 6 receptions, 196 yards, and 2